brother, we're not ranking the tier 2. We're ranking the tier 1. I want to like go in on the tier 1. I want to flame SVG. He flames us every cast. And then Cap, you're number 2. I'm coming for you too, dumbass.
Okay, all right, that's fine with me.
Motherfucker, always flaming my team. Always. Literally the two biggest haters.
I give honest
You and SVG are the biggest haters.
feelings on.
Fake
I mean,
news.
you know I'm the most biased towards your team, as in wanting you guys to do well. So, you know.
False. I'm beefing. False.
All right,
I'm coming for you.
I
My
don't care.
caster tier list?
You could beef. It's a one-way beef. That's fine.
Also, you did not put Nigma in your top 10 best chance to win TI. So I
thought Avery would have scored some points with you there.
Yeah, he did, but the casting, I'm telling you. Avery, like, content, S tier. Avery casting my games. we have problems.
So why are you fiending games you lost?
Because that's how I know Cap and SVG are very toxic.
Bro, I can't imagine going back and watching a game.
No, the thing is, I don't actually know that they are. I've just been told. I'm beefing like second-hand beef.
Bro, Avery throws me under the bus in like every game. Not even games we're playing.
Yes,
just like
I know.
just ambiently.
I know. Fuck them.
Yeah, but Steven, I get it. I respect it, you know.
No, I do too. I'm just joking.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of Not For Broadcast. We have
Wrong
episode.
Welcome back to another episode of All Chat with Cap and Quinn. God damn it, Cap.
Oh, come on,
You
guys.
have one job. You literally have one job.
I'm tired, man. I'm fucking tired.
One job.
All Chat.
Literally
All Chat.
one job.
Different podcast. That's the other one.
That's the other one.
Another episode of All Chat. We have not had this for a while, and there have been a lot of things that we have talked about that we're like, yo, we got to record the podcast for this and this. And unfortunately, you guys are crazy busy as the Dota just is never ending. Do you want to start with the smoke bug?
The reason we're crazy busy is because we suck ass. Tell the people the truth.
Yeah.
That is the truth.
Well,
there's when you're too successful, you're always busy because you're always playing. And then when you're too ass, you're always playing because you are ass.
And you're in qualifiers and stuff, which...
It's not even that. You just play more pubs, trying to figure out your problems. It's just... It's
you're also like more angry and sad, so like you don't really feel like doing anything else because you're just like mad all the time.
Also,
so that is the state that you guys are currently in right now.
Yeah, angry and sad and upset about the smoke bug and the fact that only Navi Jr. got punished.
Good segue.
Okay, so Aydin, I know you watch the other podcasts that I do.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Okay. Did you watch the episode about the smoke bug? Because I had to put that out on my own YouTube because in the podcast, this is very understandable. There are people who are mad about it, but like understandably, Tundra management did not want to put out content on their channel saying their team should have been disqualified.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not even just like, I feel like at that point in time, your organization is doing a disservice to your team. So it's pretty understandable. It's not like a free speech sort of thing, which I think some people made it out of. It's just like, why would you backstab your own team like that, you know? So.
No, that's fair.
So,
all I have to say on this topic is I love ESL, and I think ESL makes great decisions, and I'm very much looking forward to going to Riyadh this year and having a great time at that tournament.
That's all you're gonna say about it. But you're mad that other people didn't get disqualified for it.
I just think Niku should be freed. That is all I have to say on this topic. But ESL did a proper investigation. They did a good job looking into it, went through all the games, and they provided good reasoning for their decision, and good on them for making a proper investigation and coming to logically and like factually based conclusion on why they did what they did. Why are you guys laughing?
Can we go back farther? Did you guys know about the smoke bug?
No, I didn't know about it.
I knew, like, when Netta joined our team, there was like 17 versions of this.
Yeah, I knew about the 17 versions.
Yeah, so like for the 3-4 months that we were really bad. We were trying to abuse this. Somewhat successfully, somewhat unsuccessfully. But I know some people theorized whether it was around for TI or not, and it was not, as far as I know, or we knew. And I think we would have known because if there's something like that, Meta knows, and we didn't know. So I don't think there was anything at TI or Riyadh for that matter.
Okay.
I think both those events were clean.
Can you go over some of the versions of this?
It was like you can ping in the smoke. I think was like the one you use the most. Like you just went into the inventory, you alt-click the smoke, and if it pings in the chat, they haven't clicked it. So like I don't know if you can even see team chats during games, but if you could, like every single team chat is just like smoke, like blah 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 has smoke.
Okay.
And it was kind of stupid because I think Boxy, since he has like the side panel, he has like really easy access to it.
Oh yeah.
Not that I can't remember if he did it a lot or not, but I think that was like one iteration. There was probably one where you like, I don't know if that was the most recent one, where you like right click it and press like show allies or some shit, and they just popped up.
There were a couple ones you right click different things. There might have been one where you dragged it or something.
Yeah, you can drag it out of the inventory, and if it doesn't work, yeah.
It was random. It was like clicking different things and dragging and pinging and random garbage like this.
Yeah. I mean, I think it all started when they made it so that you can click the enemy profiles. It's like whenever they updated that you can press the enemy profiles to like go to their heroes. That's when the smoke bugs begun.
Okay. Quinn, so you guys knew about the previous versions. Did you guys use the previous versions at all?
There was one version like the first version. That one was around for a while and was very well known, and everyone was using it.
Okay.
That one was like people were using it in pubs and like talking about it in pubs, and like it was like literally every game, every pub, like everyone knew about that one. That one took a while to get fixed, and everyone used that one. That was before Watson. That was like that one was like it was like early during last year that one got fixed, I think, or like midway through last year that it got fixed or something.
I think last year, like January till April, you can pretty much like assume every single tournament how people were using it. I think Birmingham was probably like the last event people abused it. And as you can tell, certain players, Falcons, did very well during that period of time. Unsurprising to our viewers.
God damn, you just throwing out the shots early, huh? Okay.
I mean, everyone was using it though, so it's like it's irrelevant. Like it's net zero.
I'm just saying they were better at abusing it than the rest of us. They were less honorable
maybe they were
than
just
us.
better.
Who knows? They were abusing bugs. We'll never find out.
I mean,
look at them now.
Listen, you can't be salty about it if you were using it. You just sucked at using it.
Nobody was salty about the first one.
I don't think.
Yeah, that one was like everyone was using it, and it was like stupid, but like you had to use it because we told Valve and they weren't fixing it very fast. So it was like, all right, I guess we keep using it.
Just to add some salt, I remember that we did not know about it in Dubai, and we played them in the finals, and they kept reading all of our smokes. And Boxy said these guys are like unreal geniuses, and they like have us like figured out. So I don't really know how we're supposed to make our moves. So therefore I am a little bit salty. They abused it against us in Dubai when we didn't know about it.
Okay, so there was
after that.
There was an updated version that they knew about that you didn't know about.
No, this is before we knew about it. That's when we found out about it. Yeah.
Wait, you're talking about like 9 months ago or something like that?
Dubai was January or something, right?
Like literally a year ago, yeah.
Oh.
January last year.
I'm thinking of Riyadh. Which one? What event was Dubai?
It was
the first bet boom.
$70 zillion dacha.
Oh, okay.
It was like TI grade tournament.
Okay. So what I guess what did you guys feel about the smoke bug when it first came around? Because I guess for my point, I just look at that, I automatically go, this shouldn't be in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I told Neta I wanted to go to Valve and tell Bruno like and he said, "Why would you do that?" And then I was like, "Okay, I guess I don't do it."
I found out pretty late, and the instant I found out, I told Valve, and then in the meantime, you have to use it because otherwise, because everyone else is. So you're just gonna auto lose if you aren't using it too.
Can I ask, why don't you bring it up with the tournament organizers?
I just didn't think about it.
Okay.
Honestly.
Okay. Fair enough.
It didn't cross my mind that like that was something that a tournament organizer would do. Besides, like it's always like the Valve thing, right? It's the TI thing where like if there's a bug, a TI, you tell Valve, they tell you if it's okay or not. Yada yada yada, right?
Yeah.
So I told Valve because that's like just a protocol in my head, and then it's like, okay, I did all I can do. Now I, live my life. That was my.
What would a
my
TO do
headspace.
about it?
Well, then it
They
started
you can't
getting
use
banned,
it.
right?
If you use it too much.
If you use it too much.
And if you use it too much and you're poor.
We'll get to that, but like, you can talk to tournament organizers about it. I also didn't see anybody post about it on social media. I have to do this to you guys, by the way, because like I had a whole rant about this. So like, if the first people I got to grill on this is gotta be my closest friends. Why didn't you guys make a fucking post about this on like social media? If it was that well known, right? Obviously the broader part about it didn't know. You put that on Reddit, like, hey Reddit, I've got this smoke bug that I think is really game breaking. Like that would have shot up on a Reddit and fucking would have been a massive hubbub, and Valve would have paid attention to that. If there's a big enough public outrage about it, then Valve usually gets on that shit.
Because I hate them and they hate me.
Okay.
If I'm being honest, like that's why.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, for me, it was just like I said, I was gonna do it, and then another thought, why would you do that?
Okay.
Because I do assume we were like earlier to the party than the rest, like at that time. Because I think it was only Falcons using it at that event, and then I think over the next like few months, it became literally every single pub.
Is that how you guys figured it out? You went to that final, played those games. Boxy was like, "These guys are fucking insane," and then you go back through the replay to look at it.
I think someone probably told us somehow, some way.
That's the story I heard. Is y'all were informed?
Yeah, I think we found out from someone telling us that they did it.
Okay, so we we went like a whole. How many months did we go with this smoke bug being in the game? Variations of the game?
I would say up until Birmingham for sure.
I mean, that was the first one, but there were more variations after that.
Yeah.
That were like less used, or like I don't know exactly who was using the different ones, but for a period of couple of months after Birmingham, like I would hear about a new one and I'd tell Valve, and they were fixing those ones relatively quickly, and then there would be another one and like another one. Like there were like 4 or 5 in a row or something.
Yeah. It's like the Hand of Midas deal, right? Where it's like,
basically
stop it, and then somebody figures out you do these 10 different steps in order to still get the same outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so pretty much like we went through. You don't think it was at TI? So it got fixed
I know
enough
it wasn't
to a point,
for us.
and we had TI, and hopefully nobody used it. Hopefully there wasn't, because
it
was still in the
finals
game,
didn't
right?
use it.
Like at that point, unless an update broke it again, right?
I mean, at TI and Riyadh, it was not a thing, as far as I remember.
I didn't feel like people were using it at Riyadh. Like I didn't feel like we were like overcoming some hurdle to win or something. And I mean, both teams in the final. In my head, it's like if somebody was using it, I feel like they would have been doing better. Because it's a pretty big advantage.
Cutting out or just me?
Cutting out a little bit. It's got a little bit of internet.
I think it's your internet's lying.
Yeah, it's just the internet. Okay, just timeline wise, just to make this clear, like we were talking about like early 2024.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was a thing, and then I guess I'm confused how it wasn't a thing at TI, but then after TI it becomes a thing again.
I think there were later iterations that weren't figured out until that point, or at least
I mean, they were probably in the game.
Yeah, they were
just
probably
people
there.
didn't know.
I see. Okay.
That was my understanding, because I had forgotten about them, right? Like it was like it was like first half of 2024 type deal, and then I kind of forgot they exist.
It became a thing right away after TI, right? It was like Blast and PGL and these events. It was like a thing.
You mean after the Spirit TI?
No. After like this last TI, I think the next event. Yeah, I didn't know about it either, but I found out like when we were in Thailand, they told us like that you can't use it, and I heard rumors. I don't know if it's true that it was being used already at like Blast, which I think was one or two events earlier, like Blast and Fisher.
Yep. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
So I think
that was the first time. Like, did Valve at TI say, "Hey, don't use this smoke bug," or was like people just assumed it wasn't in the game anymore?
Valve does the normal spiel. They didn't say anything about bug specifically.
Okay, so Bangkok then was the first time that any tournament organizer had said to you, "Hey, don't use this smoke bug."
yeah, I think they like texted our manager, and Chloe like told all of us like you're not allowed to do this, and we were like, oh, this exists. Nice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I am beginning to get a little bit of an idea here why, you know,
I mean, our
some
team is just
teams
bad at
might
knowing
think
these
that
stuff.
it's acceptable at that point in time.
But does anybody actually think that it's like legit? I just feel like some people
No,
are
but
better at abusing it and other people are not. Like I think some teams, like our team for example, doesn't ever know about the stuff and then we just
okay,
never
but you
abuse it.
did know about it and you
Yeah,
did
but when we did know,
try
we
and
did
use
abuse
it.
it. But I'm saying
Yeah.
like we just usually don't know, so we don't end up using it.
Okay.
I think that's like the case. I think some people are better at like figuring out like how it actually works, or they find out about these things because they have like the inside source, they have like some dudes that tell them,
Yeah.
and they just abuse it.
I see. I see. All I'm getting out of this is that the entire ecosystem is entirely systemic to abusing bugs as much as possible.
Yeah, for
People
sure.
do that for sure.
So
No, for sure.
one thing that Gunnar brought up was the fact that Valve. I talked to him at Dream League about this, and he said that one thing is that the culture had been set basically by Valve that during the regular season, not like sorry, you shouldn't say by Valve, but like the course of TI and the fact that you would go to them with these bugs at TI and then they would either say you can't use it or we're gonna fix it or what or you can use it and we won't tell people whatever. That basically people would find bugs throughout the regular season and be using them throughout the entire regular season and then bring it up at TI. And that was just the way that it's been for years. You guys back that sort of story?
I mean, I'm the
I
wrong
don't.
person to ask because we don't know. I mean, like I said, my team and we're not like good about this.
Okay.
I mean, I could see something like that happening, but I don't personally know of like cases of that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, we can start asking our guests in the future. I
That'll
have
be
some
like the
suggestions for
first
people we
question
could bring
every
on.
single time. Did you know about the smoke bug? Did you abuse it? That'll
Or
set
like,
a good
what
tone.
bugs did you abuse in previous, years that are now patched out?
Yeah, that's where we got the what was it? What I think it was Blast. Me and Slacks were talking about it. That's how we came up with the bug confessional that both of you guys did, right? That video. Yeah. We're talking about just getting people to like actually legitimately confess about all the bugs they ever abused and just legitimately hide their identity. I said that would be banger content, but then it turned into more of a meme,
Turn
which
into a meme.
it's funnier anyway. But okay, Quinn, how'd you feel about the ESL's ruling? Because Aydin here is, I accept it was a great judgment. Also, free my boy Niku. I have nothing else to say about it. So, what do you think about it?
I mean, I guess I'll preface my opinion with I don't blame anyone in particular at ESL, nor do I blame I imagine it's something that's brought down from like corporate or like it's scary and it feels bad to disqualify Tundra and Spirit, big orgs, big teams, fan favorites, right? That feels bad. You don't want to do that. You want them at your tournaments. So I totally understand their incentive to want them at the tournament. And I understand why they'd be more okay DQing a team that is like has no fans. Because there's less backlash, right? If they DQ Tundra or Spirit, they're gonna get massive hate. and I don't dislike anybody at ESL or whatever. Just saying that like ahead of. But I think the verdict is absolute bull. And really really bad. I think the number of times you used it is completely irrelevant. And the only factors that are relevant, like you can make a case that, okay, there was only one team that was told about it because they were at Bangkok. They were told not to use it at an ESL event and then used it after. That's Spirit. Spirit, in my mind, should 100% be disqualified. Like, no doubt. They were told you should not use this, and then they used it. So that's like cut and dry, ultra clear to me. Spirit should 100% be disqualified. That one's like purely biased, right? It's purely biased, the fact they have fans and stuff. That's the only reason they didn't get disqualified. Tundra, you can make a case. They didn't know, they weren't told explicitly because they weren't at Bangkok, and ESL didn't say it. So I think it's very fair, the case that, like, while I do think the bug is cheating, and like it's a pretty scum bug in general, if they weren't told and they didn't know that it was like this is off limits, then I think you can make a case they shouldn't be disqualified. If you buy that argument, Navi Jr. also should not be disqualified because they also were not told. So in my mind, it's either you DQ all three because you say the bug is cheating, and any usage of this bug is off limits and against the spirit of the game, etc. You're out, or you only disqualify Spirit and you let the other two go free because Spirit did it like maliciously, knowing it was not allowed. Or you DQ none of them and say, our bad on the ruling, we need to be more clear next time. This is a warning, don't do crap like this in the future. They did none of the three. They chose the option where they let the two rich teams with popular players go free, and they punish the poor team with no fans because they can. I think that verdict is like despicable, personally, and the absolute worst thing they could have done from like a moral standpoint. Even though I think it's probably the best decision they could have made from like a corporate standpoint.
Okay. I guess so you don't think so where I fell on the ruling was that I felt that they should have banned both Spirit and Tundra. And they had like the 4 categories. I said the first 2 categories, right? The guys who used a shit ton and the guys who used it like a decent amount. I was okay with not DQing anybody who used it like basically under like 2 times, because at that point in time it's going to be kind of hard to like, any team that you call out for that is probably to just say, oh, we were just checking to see if the bug was there, and then if it was there, then we counterplay it, et cetera,
sure.
Right?
I mean, we were on that unintentional list, and we didn't know about the bug. So, like, I don't know. Like, when I saw we were on the list, I was like, "What do you mean? We didn't know it existed." So that one, yeah, I think it's fair.
I guess when they do this investigation, because I was thinking about it, what are they doing? Are they going to every replay and checking each time somebody hovers their mouse over a smoke?
Yeah, and then apparently they got some software to help them with that.
I see.
So that is also why it took like a week and a half or something like that in order to get their full ruling, right? Because it did take a long time for that to come out.
Yeah.
You don't think... Okay, so I also felt like there should have been additional punishment on Navi Jr. I think they both that Tundra, Spirit, and Navi Jr. should have been disqualified, but I think Navi Jr. needed an additional punishment. I know you think that the amount of times that you use it doesn't matter, and I am in generally agreement that like you could just use it at the perfect time, and it's perhaps way more impactful. But like... there's something about Navi Jr. using it 12 times or something like that, more than Tundra or Spirit, that I feel like you need another level of punishment, which is where I theorized that's why ESL did that.
There's no way. I had media training this morning, but I cannot stand for the slander. Like,
okay,
what are you saying? Like, it actually like does not matter whatsoever how many times you clicked it. And if anything, I think like it's worse for people that have been in the scene for a long time and like understand like the morals of Dota and the spirit of competition to abuse it.
Okay.
I feel like I like Spirit and I like Tundra. So this is again not personal. I like both these teams. It's just a team like Navi Jr. who just plays pubs all days, if anything, should have more leniency than like the 2 big dogs that before they even do it, they know it's wrong. And I think
I don't
how many
know.
times
Apparently,
you do it
nobody thought it was wrong.
literally doesn't matter.
Apparently, nobody thought it was wrong. The old dogs,
Of
nobody
course
thought it
they
was
know
wrong
it's
because
wrong.
it's a systemic thing that all of you guys have been
No.
doing it forever.
The point is that, okay, this is how people view it. I think people view it as like, if I find a bug, I figure it out, I did something smart, I should like, I'm gonna abuse it until Valve fixes it. It's like me versus Valve. It's not me versus the other competition. It's like it's like, let's say you're playing World of Warcraft and you figure out like a way to like, or like do speedruns. You glitch your way through a wall or something. It's like, I think people, that's how people view it. It's like, oh, I beat the game. They don't really think about it as like me against them or something like that. And I think absolutely under no circumstance does it matter how many times you click the shit or not. Like, I think if you use it, maybe Tundra's just better at using it. They're just clicking it when people actually might be smoking. Whereas like Navi Jr. are just like spamming it because they don't know when people might smoke.
I mean, he was spamming it. Did you watch the support? He literally is just sitting there in the jungle doing it nonstop for like 2 minutes straight. He's literally not playing the game anymore. He's playing the smoke bug game.
I mean,
he's playing.
To me, that's not like a testament to him being like more devious. It's just a test, like he's just more low skill. Like you don't need to be pressing it like this all the time. Like that's absurd, right?
Sure.
Like he's just not using the bug properly. Whereas the other teams are like, they're probably smoked right now, and they check it. Whereas this guy's like, oh, smoke, like clicking the button. Like that's obviously ridiculous. And I think, in terms of like a morality standpoint or like a cheating standpoint or whatever, to me, there's no difference between the two because one person is just more capable of using the other pug, and the other dude is just like mindlessly, like you said, like farming his stats.
Okay, so you think that it legitimately 12 times more they did not get more out of the bug than the other team?
Brother, it doesn't matter.
Okay,
like it doesn't matter. Why would it matter? It's literally like a made-up statistic to get the end result you want.
All right. I mean, I legitimately can't get away from that. The fact that you are doing it so much that it changes how you are playing the game.
I mean, I think it's bad, but to me, it's just like I also buy like, I mean, I hate cheating. Like this crap. Like when I first heard about it, I was like really mad because I didn't know about it. And I think that them doing it like 100 million times or whatever, I honestly think it's just like from playing a bunch of pubs. It was just their muscle memory. Like when they're doing nothing, they're just spamming it. Like I actually don't think it was like an intentional, we're cheating more than the other team. It was just like, this is muscle memory. I'm playing 5. I place wards, I press smokes, and I spam this bug. Like that's my gameplay ritual. And I think that's what was in his head, is like, this is just part of my job as a 5. I D-word wards and I spam this bug.
Okay. I can see that.
I feel like it's like saying like, oh, someone that used 3 sentries to find a ward should be more punished than someone that only used 1 sentry to find the ward. Why does it matter?
I think that was a terrible analogy, but
it's the exact same thing.
It's the exact same where you're going with that. Listen,
exact same thing.
Quinn's argument. Well, you should have just left it at Quinn's argument. Quinn's argument was very.
I like mine better. I like mine better.
All right. I mean, either way, I'm still under they all 3 should have been DQ'd.
I agree.
But
no, I think only Navi Jr. should be allowed not to go.
I mean, I kind of see where you're coming from with that. I don't know. I don't think there's any world that you can't disqualify Navi Jr. and you do disqualify Spirit and Tundra, but.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course, if you're disqualifying Tundra / Spirit, you're disqualified. I mean, to me, it's like Spirit 100% in all cases should be disqualified. Like that's just XD. And then the Tundra and Navi ones, like I think people who like genuinely believe it because they weren't informed in this tournament, they shouldn't get disqualified. I think that's honestly fair. Like, sure. I don't agree with it personally. I think they should all be disqualified. But if someone believes that, I don't hold it against them. I think that's a fine stance. It's defensible.
Yeah. My honest opinion is ESL should have told the teams, and they fucked up by not doing it. And people who abused it should not be punished. Even Spirit, in my mind, because they need to set the rules for all their call. Like, you can't just say we told you guys 6 months ago. You should have like. I feel like it should, because they send out like a thing before every tournament, right? That none of the players ever read. Yeah, and I think if it's not in that thing, it's on ESL, and they should not disqualify anyone.
I also think that's an okay stance. I don't agree with it, but I think it's okay.
They have to set the rules. If it's not in the rules, it's not in the rules.
Okay.
Like I'm with you. I don't think people should abuse it.
Here's my problem with that. You guys are the gatekeepers of all this knowledge.
Yeah.
So if you are demanding tournament organizers to have more knowledge than the players about what you can and can't do inside the game, like that's just
But they knew
that's
about
never
it
going to
in
work.
Thailand, right? They knew about it in Thailand.
Yeah, I mean, no
Yeah,
doubt
but he's
they
saying
no
there
doubt
could
they
be a new
fucked up.
variation.
And then
right?
1 month later, they don't know about it or what? How are we gatekeeping?
I mean,
that
obviously it
info? That's,
didn't.
like, on them.
Obviously, I'm not arguing the ESL didn't fuck up. Believe me, I flamed the shit out of ESL. Okay, this was
Yeah.
as bad as their PPD thing, right? Like, how do you fuck up the PPD 6-man coach? You know, how do you have a problem with your ruling? And then you should have learned from that and be like, guys, we need to be more careful with our rule book, right? And then have this happen, right? So I am 100% in agreement that ESL fucked up. I guess I just don't like the setting the precedent of like players should know better. There's a general idea of like you shouldn't bug abuse. And if you bug abuse, I'm not saying that's not necessarily like the biggest flaw in your character and you're a terrible person. I'm not necessarily going to call you even a cheater. But if you get bounced for bug abusing, that's the game, brother. Like he wanted to abuse the bug, you got caught abusing the bug. Like, I'm not gonna feel like you're lesser of a person, but also, you know, like that's just that's the breaks.
I mean, again, like I am like completely on your side on this, but just to play devil's advocate, like where do you draw that line? Like, let's say Sanj gives like 1% more status resist than it's supposed to. Are you bug abusing if you're buying Sanj?
No, I mean,
because you know about it, and like because there's a hard limit, right? There needs to be like because some things in Dota are just not working the way they're supposed to. Some interactions don't, and they work like for some reason, some other way that makes them like, oh, this is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's a key. There's a key difference. Sorry, you want to go ahead?
No, go ahead.
I think there's a key difference here in the type of bug it is. I think when it is something you can feel, like, and you can intuit from playing a hero that this hero, you play this hero and say Naix does double damage, and you play him, and you're like, I mean, it's like the storm bug, right?
Or the
storm
tiny toss
shard bug. Like that's not bug abuse to me. You can play against Storm and be like, holy crap, this shard is broken, it does so much damage. And you can read the numbers and be like, okay, these numbers aren't quite right. It's doing more damage than that. But that's not bug abuse. That's like this hero is what it is. And you're playing the hero, right? And you can feel that. Whereas like I think something that is you cannot intuit from playing the game is a much more like duplicitous, like nasty bug that is like very clear that it's like worse, right? This smoke abuse bug, like your natural conclusion is like they're just the goats, like they're so much better than us, it's unbelievable. Like that's what you come away with. You don't come away with like Storm was really strong, like we should try more Storm, you know. I think that difference there is like the key thing about this stuff.
Yeah, it's something that you actually have to go out of your way and do, and especially if it's not something that you would normally do. Now, I understand that apparently this has just become the norm, and everybody was just doing this in their pubs nonstop, right? But I still feel like also it's just like there are some of these things that it is never going to be black and white, and I think if you ever want it to be black and white, then you're in the wrong business. I think that we all have a general gut read, and we might disagree on like the minutia of it, but that's what admin is for, right? That's what an admin is for. They take read of the situation. They maybe talk to other people, but you know, at the end of the day, you have a gut read about like this is wrong, right, and this is right. And I think this was pretty clear situation that it was like, this is wrong, and I think that is generally probably. I think the good part about this is that it sets a precedent. And I hope we continue to do this because I don't think we should be dependent on Valve at all for this sort of thing. I don't think we should have a 9-month period where, you know, we're playing $1 million tournaments where bugs are okay. And then we get a ruling from Valve, whether or not it's okay or not. Or, you know, like, because we also know that Valve is not necessarily going to fix this stuff, as seen from Quinn reporting it, and, you know, it not necessarily getting handled all the way. And if Valve takes their hand more and more off of the game, right, then we need to be able to like police ourselves. So I hope this just kind of sets a precedent in that regard, even if I disagree with the ruling of ESL, that tournament organizers will be better about their rules and players will be more forward with, you know, the stuff that they have for tournament organizers to make these rulings in the first place. Because I do think that like unless there is that threat of bouncing a team out of a tournament, that you are just going to continue this culture of just like oh, I found this bug. I'm hoarding it. It's mine. Nobody else can have it. I'm gonna use it. Like, I mean, the whole thing has been pretty disillusioning in that regard. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I guess I'm looking about it. I'm like, Dota has such a great history, and I know bugs are a part of it. I know it's a big part of the game in general, but I would hate to look back at results of competition and see that it's like a little bit tarnished in some ways. I'm not saying it's like, you can't count that, but like now I'm thinking about it in my cast, now I'm thinking about like when some guy dodges a smoke gank, I'm like, damn, that was really good.
So now the real question is,
or maybe he actually knows and it's just good read. Like, how many times have I praised a player for their sick read of like, backing off in a certain area because certain, like, oh, there's enough heroes off map or whatever. How many times have I given him that fucking praise? And it was like, reality is he actually knew the enemy team was smoked 100%.
Let's investigate Yatoro for TI-10. Nobody is saying what needs to be said. How did he know? This man was ungankable for an entire TI. And at that time, nobody knew about any smoke bugs. So
check in PC.
That's the real thing we need to find. How is Yatoro dodging smokes? And when he lets all the people know that he's not abusing the bug, we can all use the same thing to avoid ganks ourselves.
I see.
That is the #1 smoke dodger in the scene.
Yeah, he's that good, huh?
Yeah. Can ESL use like their program on him, please?
I think it's good it happened. Yeah. It should have happened earlier. That somebody get like, I mean, I think the wrong wrist was slapped, but some wrist needed to be slapped. I think, like I said, I think it should happen earlier, ideally. And I think it should continue. Like you said, I think it should continue to happen. I also think, like, when I think about like bugs in the past, they were like bugs and stuff, but almost all the, like the bugs I can think about that were like game altering bugs were like hero stuff. Yeah. Like this hero does this different thing. This is honestly the only bug that comes to my mind at all when I like scan through the last 10 years of like a bug that I feel was like truly malicious and also couldn't be inferred from just playing the game. And so to me, when I think about like, does it diminish from past results, people always abusing bugs, etc., I don't really feel that way. I don't have this sense of like things have been tarnished. I don't feel that at all. So yeah, I mean, like I've thought about like, I wonder if Spirit knew about the bug during the TI they beat us. I've thought about that. I don't know if they did or not. Because it started being used shortly after that, right? So I was like, did they know there? I don't know, maybe. I mean, they were better than us, so like I don't like think of it in a way of like they were back abusing or like trying to make some excuses. They were just straight up better than us. They played better than us, right? But I'm not to say that it's like there are some parts of my head that I'm like I wonder, if we were playing against some secret information at this TI, I don't know.
Well, speaking of Spirit, those guys are goated in finals. Put Spirit in a best of 5. They are going to pop off, and they played a recent finals Dream League. It was a really good finals. Me and Avery had a great finals to cast, and then they ended up getting DDoSed within the Steam client. Do you guys have? I still think that's the understanding of what was happening to them, because it was not a traditional DDoS, is my understanding, because their internet and everything was totally fine, but they were getting DDoSed within the Steam client within some way. I heard maybe something about like getting spammed with like friend invites or something like a fucking 1,000 times a second or some shit.
So there's this stuff that people do to streamers. I don't know how much of it's been patched. But there's a thing that people do to streamers sometimes. I've had it done to me. Where in Dota, you cannot turn off guild invites, I think it is. Or you used to not be able to anyway. And people found a way to like spam you like 100 million times a second. Like you can never do anything because you can't close all the tabs. There's too many tabs. You can't close them. And they're infinitely coming in, so you can't do anything. You're just locked. Until they stop doing it, you can't play the game. my understanding is it was something along these lines. I don't know what this particular exploit was, but it was something like this where they're spamming some invite that's unblockable, and so it just jams your PC and you can't do anything because they're just spamming you 100 trillion times and there's no way to turn it off.
And it must have been a situation that wasn't like a guild pop up, right? Otherwise, I feel like they would have. The information on what was happening would have come out a lot faster, right? Like with your guild situation, it's like relatively obvious what's going on.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, like they didn't post screenshots or like say like what the specific bug was that I know of. Like I don't
Yeah.
actually know what exactly went down, but my understanding it was something like that.
Aydin, what were you smiling about?
I mean, it's just people have way too much time, dude.
True.
I was just
True.
thinking about it, like, there's a human being just like me who's just sat at his PC thinking like, hey, wouldn't this be funny?
I don't think that was what they were thinking at all. To be
Or
clear,
someone
I
is
think
betting on the game.
yeah, that person
and the
has
wrong
way
team
too
is
much
winning.
money, and they are risking too much money by betting on the games. For me, I'm like, I have no evidence on this whatsoever,
I mean,
but I 100% believe that.
Yeah, that seems to be the trend. The things have been going in. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's really dumb. We've had DDoS stuff like forever, I think, but it hasn't been like relevant for the last few years. I remember it used to be a thing with Skype. You could like DDoS people through Skype.
I was literally sitting there going like, it's 2025. I feel like I'm in 2015 right now. I'm back to casting games online and having like 2-hour long breaks while teams try and figure out why they're being DDoSed or how they're being DDoSed.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I thought to myself, what's stopping like orgs from like paying someone to do this? Like, let's say this is hypothetically, right? You're Tundra. You watch like the early game, it doesn't go well. You just like DDoS the enemy team. All right, I guess I have to remake, guys. New draft.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a shitty situation, and I know if I was in that situation and we were like winning the start, because I feel like they were kind of winning the last game.
They were
were
100%.
That game was
100% winning.
Yeah, I would be pretty salty. I would be pretty salty about needing to like reschedule and move it.
Yeah. The funny part was Tundra seemed to be the saltiest about it. I think there
really?
was maybe a misunderstanding that it was their internet being DDoS, because Saksa had that post. I don't know if you guys saw it on Reddit, but inside the game he said, well, maybe the Spirit organization should better protect themselves from DDoS.
But that was a joke, no? I feel like that was like, there's no way. There's no way.
I mean,
you would say that.
That was in the middle of like Tundra in general just kind of seemed pretty salty about pausing and waiting and the admins not pushing
in their
the
defense.
Forward.
I think their perspective is somewhat reasonable. Like he's like, first of all, pauses are unbelievably annoying. Just like as a flat basis, and then on top of that, they've been paused for like an hour or something, and the rules say you have X amount of pause time. I'm actually curious what y'all think about this, because to me, like, I feel like you should not get def loss at grand finals for like lag. Like that's a bit sad and a bit stupid and kind of a dumb end of the tournament, just from like a feel perspective, like that just feels stupid to me. But I also feel like it's really, when it comes to like pause time and this type of stuff, especially, the rules not being proper is like really annoying because it is DDoS, right? And the rules say you get X amount of time, even DDoS. Like doesn't it say that in the rules or something like that? People are talking about.
I don't know.
It's possible. I don't know, but saying you are right in that regard. I think it was pretty clear the admin, like, I remember they basically said like, this is not like a traditional DDoS situation. Like, we're investigating with Spirit and we don't think that this is like a normal situation. Basically they kind of made it sort of like a semi ruling inside of the game as to why the game would stay paused.
That's fair.
Which for my money, I think pretty much always needs to happen in esports, let's say, because things are not as set as traditional sports, that I think you always need admins to be able to, because you're not going to be able to get everything with a rule book. So
Yeah.
I'm always okay with admins being able to have their own rulings. And then you can, flame the shit out of that ruling afterwards if you disagree with it. But I think admins should always be able to, because otherwise, what's the point of having an admin? Just somebody there telling you to go, So
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
But
I was
the
okay
pause
with
rule
the
is
outcome personally.
Yeah.
the pause rule is interesting though, because like, what is it there for? What are you allowed to pause for 10 minutes for? That like, after 10 minutes somebody would unpause, because like, if somebody's mouse isn't working, you're just gonna wait until it works, right? You're not gonna make them play 4v5. Like, imagine how funny it would look on like the little camera in the corner. Like, you see some dude running around in his apartment trying to like find a new mouse, like plugging it into his PC, while his team is just getting like raxed.
Yeah,
Right, it's like, what is it? You have 10 minutes to sort out your stuff, but you're not allowed to pause unless you have issues. Right? That's how it works.
Yeah.
You can't like strat pause, I think.
Yeah.
It's like, why does it even exist? Just remove the thing and be like, pausing is according to admin's decision.
I think you
How
need
long you can
some
pause.
basis for anything like this, right? Because there will be 5,000 games where the pause ruling works the way it should work, but there's going to be one game in every 5,000, right, where it's special circumstances, which is what this was, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know we had a death loss against Falcons.
I did.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about
So
that?
do you know what happened? I mean,
No.
I don't mind. I don't think Boxy minds. So you know how you press launch Dota?
Yep.
Every time you click that button, the game starts up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that just wasn't happening for him. And this was like maybe 20 minutes before the game is about to start.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just some bug. And he like verifies game files. It doesn't like fix it. He just still can't launch Dota. So he's forced to like reinstall the game.
Yep.
And that unfortunately takes like 40 minutes or something.
Yep.
And then we get DQ'd. How do you guys feel about that?
Was there ever like one of the things with the DDoS situation is that an admin was able to verify at least some degree of like what Spirit was talking about. Was that not an opportunity presented to you guys? I'm not saying you guys made the mistake.
I can't remember. I don't think
like,
we didn't really fight them on it. We just told
there,
them what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like what should have happened there was like, hey, we've got this fucking wild bug, and then an admin, is able to screen share with Boxy, verify the fact that there's this like weird ass bug that's not letting him launch Dota, and then you guys should have been given the extra time. That just is like what makes sense to me, right?
Yeah.
I also think that feels right. Like, I mean, I think in general, if there's something that goes wrong that's like out of your hands, I think the ideal is that you can get given enough time within reason to fix it. Like if it's some group stage game and it's like, nah, we have a hard schedule, we don't have time, then like, if something goes wrong, unlucky, right? Then like I get that too, right? That's fair. But it's group stage 2 and there's more gap time, so it's like I think the ideal outcome is the one where people get given some leniency whenever stuff happens out of their control, because at the end of the day you want like fair competition, right?
Yeah.
Like that is, at least from our side, right? On the production side, maybe the fan side, it's like less, waiting 100 years. Obviously, it's bad for the stream. So like I kind of get both sides, but like the ideal to me is that you're able to wait. If it's not like somebody oversleeping, something stupid like that.
I mean, none of us are like salty about it. I was just curious what you guys think. I think we were just given like 5 minutes of extra time before they started the penalty timer, and I think Falcons were pretty upset about that. They were like, "Why are they given extra time?" Or 10 minutes. I don't know exactly, but
yeah, I don't really get that situation, because I guess I don't know why any player or team would want hardline rulebook stuff where you always follow the rulebook no matter what, because at some point in time you will be in one of these situations. If you're competing enough, I feel like very likely you're going to be in some sort of, catastrophic, you're in Southeast Asia, your land center is being flooded sort of deal, right? Like it's like shit like that. It's just like what are you expecting them to do? Like, how are they supposed to plan for this better? Like, what was Boxy supposed to do in this bug? And that's going to happen to every team or player. And that's why I'm always like, you should empower your admins to be able to make rulings like this. And then, teams get mad about it. Whatever teams. I mean, feel like teams get mad all the time. So,
yeah,
that does suck. Sorry that happened
It
to you
does suck.
guys. Were you
It's all
guys?
good.
I know you guys
I'm
aren't
zero
salty about
salty.
it now, but were you guys tilted
Yeah.
afterwards? Going into like
Not
game 2, right? Because
honestly, not really, because I think we were like so down bad that it's
oh,
like, like it's one of those situations where it just like added to like the
When it
funniness of
rains, it
like,
pours.
yeah. It was like
Eh,
literally everything is going to shit.
yeah.
So I mean, I personally wasn't like too upset about it. It's like really unlucky. Just curious how you see it.
All right. Well, those were the two big topics. Is there anything else you guys wanted to say or talk about?
oh, I thought of something, but where did it go? Hang on a second. I thought of something earlier. I was like, oh, we could talk about that. Let me
I can
think.
fill the void in the meanwhile while you
Yeah,
think.
let me think.
I
Let me think.
finished the last Stormlight Archive book because I know there are people that watch this podcast that care about
Mm-hmm.
that. And yeah, I'm done now. It was good. You guys should read it.
What was it? A satisfying conclusion to a series that I know is very important to you?
Yeah, I think it ended. The ending is very, very good. I thought the book overall was maybe not the best book I've ever read, but the ending was really, really good. And especially if you actually, never mind. I'm not gonna say anything. It was. I really liked the ending. I thought the ending was really, really nice. Yeah.
I can't remember.
God damn it, Quinn.
I'll be honest. I have read Stormlight Archives.
Ooh,
One or
all of it.
two of the books. I have not read the full thing. I will
I
probably
feel
go
like
back at it at some point in time because obviously I feel like I'm missing something because it is so well praised by
yeah.
so much of my friend group that I was just like, I remember reading like one or two books and like it obviously didn't hook me enough that I was just like, I gotta get the next one, you know?
But
But
that's crazy to me because I feel like the first three
mhm,
books were so good, and then for me it like dipped a little bit. But the
okay.
first three were amazing. That's crazy.
I'll have to go back and revisit it at some point, and then I will give you my full ruling. Just real quickly, can we talk? So we talked about on this podcast the highs of your guys's. You guys are both going through a bit of a low right now.
Hmm.
Um, can I ask what that's like, team environment wise? Because you guys like in Aiden, you guys, what was it? Blitz said, I think Blitz did an interview. He said, the guys are actually like pretty. They're not actually that demotivated. People are pretty. Mood's good. Is that true?
Like true, or no? I think we're all like trying to keep a positive face, but
Okay.
I think everybody is extremely frustrated. I don't think anyone's like happy with the situation we're in.
Sure.
It's not like, oh, eighth again, let's go. I think our team has played more Dota this year than we ever had
Mhm.
before, and I think we are trying a lot harder than we ever have before to like figure out our, or not ever before, but like since let's say Quakefa and Taiga years, I think the effort level is like a lot higher now, and we're just not managing to get things to click. And I think there's a lot of frustrations. And I mean, the lows, like I said, the problem with the lows is that you don't know why you're as bad as you are, or you do know why you're as bad as you are, but for whatever reason, you just cannot get things to like click. And like, you can identify all the things that are going wrong, but it's like not consistently the same things. So like, for example, I know I felt very much the like so many random things happen in our games, and like in the moment stuff where you like someone sees something and they want to do it and then you do it and then it's horrible and you throw the game, and then the next game it's like we can't even get out of lanes, and then the game after that it's like our heroes can't do anything together, and it just feels like no matter what you like fix, something else is wrong the next time, and you just can't get like things to come together. And usually I think that's like a consequence of like just the lack of like a lack of true understanding of what matters and what doesn't matter and what you need to be doing and what you don't need to be doing, and like really like putting effort into like the right things, so you just end up like trying to plug every single hole.
Quinn, you talked about leading up to last TI that you guys felt like you were constantly scrambling to plug the holes in the boat, which is exactly what sounds like Aiden's going through right now. Are you guys still going through that, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, we've been trash since TI. Not even like, not even like eighth place trash. We're like last trash, or like can't get out of groups trash. Like really, truly bad. And there's I don't know. There's a lot there. There's a lot of, I mean, just at like a base level, to be really good at Dota, like to win tournaments, at least for me, Liquid somehow does it, like they play less or whatever, and they it works for them. I don't know how. But for me and the teams I've always been on, to even be at a competitive level, let alone win tournaments, you have to do Dota all day, every day, all day long. Only think about Dota, like play a million pubs, try super hard, like everyone individually needs to be on like an insane level and really in zone, and then maybe you can win the tournament. And so when you do that all day long, and it's the only thing you do, right? You don't hang out with friends, you don't can do anything, right? You're just doing this, and then you suck at that. It's like it's just unreal miserable, because you're doing this one thing all the time, and then you're still garbage at that. It's very ego crushing, and not in like the ego of like I'm proud of myself way, ego in like the Freudian way. It's like it I don't know, it just sort of eats you up. Like, who am I? Like, what am I doing? I'm just playing this game all day and we're still hecking garbage. Like, should I throw in the towel? Am I washed now? Is it a motivation issue? Is it like, did I have some spark? Was it patch luck in the past? Like, that's Aiden touched on this thing of like, there's different things going wrong. And the hard part about improving in Dota at like a lower level, and then also sometimes at a higher level, like what's hard to like go from like an okay team or a mediocre team to a really good team, is you don't actually know what's wrong until you know. Like, that's Dota at in its essence, is you don't know what's wrong until you know what's wrong, right? Like, is this move we're making wrong? Is our idea about some heroes wrong? Is our ideology about draft wrong? Are we just bad at laning? Are people like individually not clicking? Is there some underlying beef there that's causing people to play worse? Is it like, are our players like not meshing properly? There's so many different things it could be, right? And you have to like assess all of this and figure out, okay, which one of these things is it, or how many of them is it? What amalgamation of these things is it that we're fixing, right? And so people ask me like, how am I doing? Like friends, family, whatever. My mom texts me and says, how are you? My response is like, I'm like kind of okay. Like, you're busy, right? Because there's just a lot of stuff to do and you're trying to fix stuff all the time. But also like you're just kind of miserable all the time, because the only thing you're doing is addressing bad stuff, because it's all there is. You're surrounded by it. It's an ocean of bad, and you're just swirling around in it, trying to like make it work. Just please work, and it just won't work. And so it's weird, because you're like in a mixed state of being fine, but also incredibly frustrated that you can't just get this stupid game to like work right.
Are the highs worth the lows?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not even close.
Yeah.
The thing is, I feel like you're like an addict, when you play like pro Dota players. I feel like you're just like chasing the good feeling of like being good a lot of the time, and then like in the lows it's just like it's real bad. I mean, I agree with Quinn. I think that's like also like, I know when we're as down bad as we are, we just try to like stay as positive as possible, because that's like when you need it the most. So I think when William says in interviews that we're like, we're keeping it together, I think it's like it's very easy to go down the hole of like everything sucks. So then you just see everything through the lens of like how everyone is bad, or like what everyone is doing wrong. It's very easy to like shift your focus from like when you're good, you're like, oh my god, Boxy, that was amazing, or Mickey is so good, to like, oh yeah, Mick is not good at this one thing, or Boxy's not good at this one thing, or Aydin sucks at that, or like, oh, Nisha doesn't do this, and like suddenly all the like when things aren't going well, I think it's very easy to like focus only on the negative, and I think when you do that, it ends up like just like spiraling you down. So.
And you become
Yeah.
kind of reactionary, right? The thing that you're talking about, where it's like, oh, our lanes were shit, and that's why we like. It's hard to find that underlying meaning that you're talking about, right?
Right. And I think this is true for at least us in gaming, but we both kind of have had systems in the past that we've like played according to, whether that's like, set in stone or not. I think it's pretty visible as a viewer, at least if you watch like Gaming Gladiators play or you watch Spirit play. It's like very different ideas, and in some patches, truly just like your ideas don't work, and like the way you want to play as a team just doesn't function. and then you have to like overcome the struggles of like player weaknesses and like all this kinds of stuff, and then you're like battling a you're battling a battle that like might help you be good in this patch that you're just fundamentally not going to be good at. Whereas like sometimes you just have to like wait it out and hope that the patch fixes it, kind of situation. I feel like sometimes it just feels that way. I think at least like last year for me really felt that way. Like when we had Nera on the first months, I just felt like we know exactly why we can't play properly, and we just have to wait for the patch, and hopefully we'll get a patch that fits us, which we did.
So if you like, there's obviously multiple things going wrong, but if you had to guess, what percent do you think that your results are patch based right now?
I mean, okay, I think we're really bad. I think like we're playing very bad. So I don't want to like take anything away from that. But I think there's a reason that like Liquid and Gaming are bad and Spirit are good. Okay, this is like for me fundamentally truth of Dota, that our team and their team are never good at the same time. The only event that I can remember is the TI where you guys got to the final against them. Like we lost to you guys in Spirit, and they played their way and they won, and like gaming lost or whatever. But like I feel like we're never ever good at the same time. It's always very like either we're good or they're good.
Yeah, let me rephrase the question. How much do you think in general team success is like patch dependent? Like is it 20% the patch, and that's just like
I mean, I think it's really hard to say because I just feel like if you just look at the last 2 years, it's like very clear to me that like you'll just never see like Spirit and Extreme are going to be good at some periods of the year, and then you're going to have us and Gaming be good at other periods of the year. And what changed? I don't think we just magically got better at the game, if I'm being real honest. I think it is related to like how the game is played either flows better for your team or it flows worse. And then I think there are rare cases where like a team that gets out of their comfort zone and they manage to play well anyway. But usually the winning team at the end of the day is going to be the team that is the most comfortable with the patch.
Yeah.
Like I don't think we would have won TI without having a draft advantage from the patch. I don't think Spirit will ever do well when your carry has to play like Mike or Dyrachyo. I just don't think it's happening.
Yeah.
Like they will still be a top 6 team potentially. They might make the finals, but I just don't think they will win the finals. Unless like to some degree the game allows for the way they want to play to be good. But then like I think like for example right now with how bad we're both doing, I don't think it's related to the patch. Sure. I think if you are good at the game, you're still going to produce top 6 results consistently if you're playing well. And then I think below that, then you have bigger issues, and you should not be blaming the patch at all. So I think it's a little bit like that. Like the closer the teams get and the better they are, the more I think it matters. So I would say like, yeah, between like, I don't know, a 60, I don't know, percent at peak, maybe 80% at peak. I think it matters a lot at peak, I guess.
I think that's something I like that you talked about that, because I feel like consistency is criminally underrated from a Dota community standpoint, right? They really only care about the recent results and like whether or not you won the tournament. That I feel like consistency of teams is like very impressive when teams can pull it out, but like they never get their flowers because it's like people only really care if you won, if you got the trophy at the end.
Yeah, second place teams matter too.
All right. Quinn, you agree with what Aydin's saying?
Yeah, I think, like, I mean, I think when like Aydin said about TI, like, I think TI and Riyadh are like it's very funny because like were our two teams very different between those two tournaments? I don't think so. Did they get better and we get worse? Maybe. Did they get better and we stayed the same? Maybe. I don't know. But like Riyadh is like an incredibly good patch for us, and TI is an incredibly bad patch for us. Riyadh is a very bad patch for Liquid and a very good patch for Liquid, and it's 3-0 flipped the other way, right? And like there's gameplay stuff there too. I'm not saying like Dota's is some like RNG fest. You just set your team in stone. It's like, oh, the patch drops the right way, we win the tournament, we collect money. If it doesn't, we lose. It's like it's not like that. But it does have a massive say when you get down to like the finals. Like if somebody is, good at X hero and it's the best hero in the game and the bans are set, like you can't. I mean, often, like, sometimes the bans are just locked and you can't get out of them because this hero is just, you auto win if you pick this hero. So it's like, all right, we have to give them this or this. And they're really good at both those heroes and we aren't good at either. So now you have some real problems, right? It's like, it's a classic predicament of drafts.
The way I think about it is that Dota is like too complex and open in a way that there are too many ways to be good at the game that it's just not possible to be the best in all the different ways to be good at Dota.
Yeah, I think it's really hard.
I agree, but I think we're moving away from that. I think over the next few years, I think it's going to be less of that. I think you're going to have less of this. I think you're going to have more consistent teams.
Why?
Just because, like, I think the game more and more is starting to dictate how you get to play. Your freedom is getting taken away minute by minute. Before you had 20 minutes until you had to fight. Now you have 15. It's like,
yeah.
I think the direction of the game is gonna make it more. You're gonna have like I think it's gonna become more just like button clicky and less brain smarty. I think. I don't know how to explain that.
Sure, less strategy, more skill,
more
individual
more just like
tactics, less overall team
kind of
understanding.
Yeah, I think that stuff is being more like spoon fed to you more and more. And the earlier you make the objectives in the game possible, the less room I think there is for creativity, I guess.
Yeah.
Was there something that you would like to take out of the game that would help with that? Because I have heard frequent complaints about the timings, right? 2 minutes, 3 minutes, like these constant,
I mean, at this point, I feel like it's like really part of the game.
Okay.
I don't really know how you can go backwards, but like, that is just, I think, what Dota is not. I mean, I watched a game from like TI8 recently, and it's just incredible to see like how different the game is, and to think about like what the game was back then compared to what it is now. Like power runes and what they mean today compared to like back then, it was like not really a thing the same way, And that's like part of like, people just getting better at the game and understanding the game better. But I think like the more that gets pushed, also the less creative people will get, because it'll be more like streamlined what you're supposed to do, and then you'll just see more of that. So I think this whole like idea with like, spirits and liquids or spirits and gamings, we're gonna move away from that, I think, and there's gonna be more consistent like top players that are just always good. The way they're patching, if they keep it this way.
Do you think that's good or bad?
I don't know. It's something. I don't really have like a emotional like I like this or I don't like this. I just think that's like the way it's moving, I guess.
Quinn, what do you think?
I mean, I dislike the game being led down I don't like Tormentors. I think they're conceptually bad. I didn't like them when they got introduced. I think they're even worse now. I just dislike them. I also dislike Wisdom Runes. I think Wisdom Runes are bad too. I think adding stuff that simplifies the game in a way that it just makes the right decision for you, like this Tormentor in this patch is like, it just gives too much gold. So everyone goes to the Tormentor at 15 minutes because it gives too much gold mathematically. So you need to go kill it, because if you don't, then they're up too much gold and you lose. Like that's just how it is, right? So there's no thinking involved. Like Aydin said, like you just go kill the thing because it gives too much gold.
Oh.
And they nerfed it right in the B patch or whatever. Maybe it's not as bad. Maybe it's more fine. And I think that's what you want. Like I think why Dota is like cool and like a beautiful game is because there's so much to figure out and so much to like learn, and you can have different understandings of the game, and that can work. Like I think how Dota is, and the fact that different styles win all the time, and there are like eras where different teams play different ways, and that's like the way to like that's really cool. I don't think that's like the case for a lot of other games in the same way that it is for Dota. And I think that's like part of what makes Dota special. And I think when you erode that and you make every team play the same way because it's just like objectively the best, and it's very clear it's the best, like I think that erodes some of like what makes Dota cool and special. Like I hate I don't know, I hate stuff like that. I think it's obnoxious.
I also remembered one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
When I watched the TI8 like Dota, if you look at like how important spellcasting is back then and what made those games so hype, is it like it really matters how people are pressing their spells because they don't have items. You don't have like 14 items on every single hero, and they're not like 1200 HP. So it like matters how you're positioned, or like, oh, he was like 2 pixels too close, so he got sleight of fisted, and now he lost a third of his HP. I remember I used to hate this, but when I watched this thing, I was like, damn, like I would Crystal Nova someone, and it would literally chunk like a piece of their HP. Like it mattered. If I could get like another Nova out, it really had a big influence on the outcome of a fight. And like therefore like how I positioned myself really mattered. Or if I could squeeze in like 2 extra auto attacks, that was like a lot of, extra damage that I was getting out. And nowadays it just seems like I feel like Dota's like a lot more about just you just have items that solve all your problems, and if you have more items you win, and if you have less items you lose. And I do think that part for me has become like items have become too important, and spellcasting and how you press your buttons have become less important over the years. And I think that's taken a little bit of like the interest out of watching games as well. Because like I feel like even you guys as casters, when you watch games, a lot of times I'll notice you guys kind of like know what's gonna happen in the fight. It's not that interesting because you just look at like what do they have and what do they have, and you just know like they're just not gonna win the fight. Nothing's like there's not gonna be that interesting. Whereas before, like, oh, he might get a 4-man black hole. That could happen, and it could win them the fight because it matters that much. Like if he gets a ravage on 4 people, they probably will win the fight. So how can we create chaos to make that situation occur? And like nowadays, it's just not really like that. And it's not only like that players are just so much better that they don't do these mistakes. It's also just like even if you 4-man ravage, it's not like you can't have your 5 run in and be stupid and die so that we get a 4-man ravage and then our 2 heroes will like blast the fight. Because it's not spellcasting isn't like as relevant in that way as it was before. And I think it makes for more boring viewer experiences too, where things become too predictable because these things don't matter enough and items are like just way too important.
I long for the days where a black hole was actually impactful rather than just like control for one carry for one life, As an Aegis, you control one hero with the black hole. Maybe you don't even get it for the full amount. You get him for like 2 seconds, but like, I am in full agreement there.
Yeah.
Well, something to think about moving forward, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you link this?
Because
to win TI.
We have very serious conversations, and now let's talk about something fun. All right. If you can get this on the stream when you release this,
I will put it up there. It'll be in the middle.
I think we should rate your guys' list. And I feel like we should make fun of you guys for it.
Fair enough.
Or agree if you do.
So me and Avery in the other podcast, Avery had the idea of doing power rankings. Power rankings at the moment that we recorded it, and power rankings for the chance to win TI, which we were showing the chance to win TI one.
And you guys did this after or before Bangkok?
I
think before, right? Surely.
I mean, I have to find.
Oh, sorry. I mean after. Surely after.
Yes, I believe it was after.
This must have been right after, because otherwise we're absurdly high.
Okay, so this was released January 23rd, 2025. Yes, this was recorded after Bangkok.
Correct. So you guys both put Spirit as your number 1 team. Which I think is insane because first of all, you guys are assuming this is going to be the patch we play TI on, and it's not going to shift. And I feel like that's kind of crazy.
Okay, we both had a thing that we have no idea what the patch is going to be like for TI, and obviously that determines quite a lot, right?
Yeah, but I think you have to assume that it's going to change.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like Spirit at the top is like very, very suspicious.
Okay, there is a pattern going on right now though. They have won every other TI.
Yeah.
And we're in the year that the pattern dictates they win.
Also, Spirit got 4th at that Bangkok. It's not like they were in the finals.
And they didn't have Yatora and Collapse.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, you're supporting our point of like it was our power rankings for TI are different, very different than the power rankings leading into it. Because it wasn't. Wait, let me go back and find the best Dota team right now. Spirit was 5th for me and 6th for Avery.
I see.
They got 4th at
Wait, can
Bangkok,
you
but
post
we
that?
still
Can
rated
you
them
post that?
lower than their ranking at Bangkok.
Yeah, but that was a different roster. That was like Rue and Satanic
Yeah.
and Malik.
Yeah, and that was a big reason why. I mean,
Yeah.
I know you watched the podcast. Like, you had heard my whole
don't
rant
remember
about how
what you guys- I
Yutoro
don't-
was going to come back, right? People
Yeah,
were
yeah,
hyping
yeah.
up Satanic as like, oh, this guy's replacing. And Yutoro wants to be the GOAT, man. This guy wants to be the GOAT of Dota. In order to do that, you need 3 rings, right? Because otherwise, everyone's going to be arguing, oh, Seb, No Tail, OG 2 times, you know? In order to do that,
Yeah.
you need 3. And I think this year, he's trying to get to 3, you know?
I think Bet Boom at 2 and 5 is a cap.
Yeah, I think Spirit
Wait,
at 1.
wait,
Okay,
which one is
the
cap?
the 2 is
They're too high,
ridiculous.
or which one?
No, the 2 would be I mean, they're too high, right? I feel like Bet Boom is always on, like, gravity pulls harder for them, you know? It's like they're on the inverse moon, you know? They're like anti-Neil Armstrong. They jump and gravity like whips them back down through the earth, like dragging them to the core. I feel like Bet Boom has extra gravity. And so, like, if they're at a peak, you always have to assume that gravity is gonna like slowly claw away at them.
I don't know. I was so set that like they have not solved their choking issue. That's what Bangkok told me, right? Because they should have won that upper bracket final.
They don't have
Don't
a
think
they don't
so.
have a
They
choking
played a
issue. They have
really
a-
good
they have an
team.
entropy issue.
They have an entropy issue.
What does that even mean? Explain that.
They're just going to decay over time.
Yeah, it's
I
like
see.
entropy is like the
Yeah.
world is like everything decaying over time. That's Bet Boom's problem, is they just decay.
The funny thing is, it kind of does make sense. I feel like that team needs to form like 2 weeks before TI, and then they're gonna cook.
Yeah.
And they'll be peaking. Yeah, I feel like Bet Boom and Falcons, I just don't believe will win this next TI. I feel like they should just be not on the list even, because I think their chances are that small. Also,
okay.
I hope one of them wins. I feel like that would be really, really funny.
Okay.
I think, again, Liquid and Gaming have shown no signs of being relevant for this list.
All you guys should take it from that is that we believe in you. That by the time TI rolls around, that you will be back in shape.
I think Faith Beyond has a bigger chance of winning this TI than we do. I think they're like closer.
Well, he's
at the
10th
moment.
on my list.
Yeah, he deserves to be there. I think Nigma has a higher chance of winning than we do right now.
Okay.
I feel like you guys rate Party Vision way too low. I don't know what
that was
this
post.
is.
That was post Crystallis kick. And
Yeah, but I told you that they're
it could have
good.
gone up. Yeah.
I told you that they're gonna be good at TI. Brother, you have insider information, and you put them 7th. That's a crime.
Listen, I will stand by that decision. All right, they won a tournament.
That's crazy.
They kicked their carry, okay, and picked up
Yeah.
Satanic, who Satanic had only been playing for Spirit. Had been playing slow Dota the entire time. Obviously, he can play fast Dota, but like I had not seen that from him yet. So I stand by that placement. I will stand by that placement.
In Cap's defense, I also feel like they might have a slight entropy issue.
No, I think this team will not place below top 6 this year.
I mean, yeah, the way they look now,
yeah, they'll get top 6 for sure.
I think that team cannot be ranked 7th in any world.
This is to win. This is to win. It's
Yeah,
not
the power ranking
placement
is
will
to
they get in the
win
tournament.
TI.
To win.
This is not where you're going to place.
I see. Okay, then probably like I would say at any given time, Team Liquid might just be the best team in the world.
Yes, exactly. That is why both you and
That's
Gaiman
fair.
are actually higher up on the list, because
Yeah,
you guys might
okay,
place
okay.
12th, but you're more likely to
get it,
win
I
the
get it.
tournament than Parivision.
I get it. Okay,
Which is why I disagree so heavily with
slightly
Betboom
less.
being second. I
Yeah,
disagree
Betboom cannot
heavily
be
with
there.
that. There's no way that I could see them. Sure, they will place. Maybe they'll place top 4 or something, but like I just don't see them winning the tournament.
Also, Avalis is insane. That one is insane.
That one's absurd. That one's just absurd.
Okay,
it looks like shit
okay.
now. All right, it didn't look that
Okay,
bad.
No,
okay.
it looked bad then too.
No, they were
Bro,
winning
you
all
put
those.
Faith Beyond,
They were
you put
winning
Faith
all those
Beyond above
qualifiers.
Avalus. You put,
But
bro.
They were like us in Alliance.
Qualifiers. They were playing against us in the qualifiers. Like,
Well, you guys are 6th. They're 8th. What do you want?
put Faith Beyond above them.
Okay,
Put some
let's
respect
be
on
real.
that man's
Okay,
name.
100%
Okay.
in my mind making this, there's no way that I support that I am going to back regions outside of Western Europe, Eastern Europe for the most part. That's just the way it be.
You're not an AME believer.
I am not a China believer.
Not
I
to
believe
win
in
TI. Bro, you didn't actually think Extreme could win TI last year.
I thought. What did I think? I thought Spirit was the best at that TI. I remember when we played scrims before TI.
Listen, I made this mistake.
Extreme? Yeah.
I was one of those people who took Charlie's bet that at TI 8,
really?
China would not win a TI for the next 3 TIs. I said, you're fucking high. There's no fucking way. They should win this one. LGD should win TI 8. And
wait, Charles Yang said that at TI 8?
Yes, he said that at TI 8. He said China will not win another TI for 3 years. That scene.
He made a lot of money from that bet.
That scene is crumbling. All right. And what happened? They did not win a TI. And they have yet to win a TI ever since. Okay.
But
so
yeah,
I made that mistake. I will not believe in China again.
Okay, but I feel like, all right. So chances to win TI. Okay, Spirit, I would say probably pretty high up. Top 3. Falcons, I can't see Falcons win TI this year. I think all their players will win, or their youngsters will win again for sure. Like, they will win. Like Malrine and Amar, I think for sure will win at some point.
You think they'll win a TI in their career?
Yeah,
but not this.
I just don't know if it's time yet.
Okay.
It might still be a bit too early.
Okay, of the top teams in this list, who do you think won't win a TI?
Also, I feel like there was some like Aydin coming in here, spent like 20 years trying to grind, finally wins his TI. He looks at the guys and be like, I don't know if they're ready yet.
They're not. Too early for them. You don't understand. Like, the game isn't bugged enough yet for Falcons to win. Like, there's too many. It can't be this year because we're bug hunting this year. It can't be this year.
Okay.
There needs to be like. No, okay. I feel like Falcons cannot be second. That one is, I just don't agree with. I think Spirit Tundra. I think based on this year should be 1 and 2, probably Pari 3. If you're being like somewhat objective, and then I feel like the amount of candidates that actually look like they could win tournaments are quite low.
Yes. It significantly drops.
Past those 3, I'm putting our team. Even though we're dog water, I'm still putting us.
I feel like at that point, you're like, do you guys watch Smash? You know Mango? How he could at any day be the greatest. Yeah, I think you're like betting on those things. And then I think, if I'm honest, whatever team AME is on right now, because it changes every 2 weeks, that one.
They're not going to win TI.
Our team, Gaming, and then whatever team Parker is on, I think like a 4th team. That is like genuinely my thoughts.
Okay, well, at that time it was
Heroic. I put Taiban above Parker.
I believe at that time was Heroic, which we have 8th and 9th.
Heroic? I mean, Did they even qualify to Thailand? Did they go to Thailand? Did they make it out of groups in Thailand?
Surely they qualified.
I don't think they were at Thailand.
I think they might have been and got them last.
I don't see them on the list. There was Beast Coast instead.
I see. I just feel like Spirit, Tundra, Pari, and then like Falcons, and then us.
And then whatever team AME is on. Aydin isn't going to make his own list. He only says that.
Okay, I am. Spirit, Tundra. No, okay. Well, actually, I know something I can't say. But current Tundra 1. Spirit. Okay. Spirit 1, 2 Tundra, 3 Pari, 4 Liquid, 5 Falcons. 6 Gaming. 7th Ama's team. 8th
whichever team that is by the time TI rolls around. Okay.
Yes.
Don't put Nigma above Tidebound.
Nigma, and then 10th I'll put Parker's team.
Okay.
Whatever team Parker's on at TI.
So secret. You're going to say secret.
Maybe. It depends if he's on secret. It's whatever team Parker is on.
Well, I'm just saying we still had some of the same teams and some of the same placements, so.
I mean, on both lists, the most psychotic one is... is Avery's second bet boom. That's the most psychotic one.
I feel like Tundra being
Dude, he was close to putting them 1.
That's insane.
That is insane.
That's by far the most insane thing on either list.
They won Blast, and it was like the choking is over, guys. I'm like, no.
Yeah, look at Liquid. You can win 1 time. That's it. But why do you guys rate Tundra so low? I think Tundra are like goated.
I mean, yeah, obviously now, for sure. Back then,
was this Nightfall?
I remember. It was because
Nightfall,
they had recently changed the Nightfall Durancio thing, and I remember like my whole thing was that like I don't know, something's weird about the fact that you leave a TI winning team to go form a squad with this guy that you're really good friends with, you've always wanted to make a team with in Nightfall, and then like 2 months later he's gone. I'm just like, what's going on there? I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of weird. Now, formula wise, it does seem to make sense, right? Aggressive carry with 33 seems to be that's the moneymaker right there. But I still felt like the roster move was just kind of weird.
How did teams place at Dream League? Do you remember? Spirit, Tundra, and then Party third?
Yeah.
Who's fourth?
Chimera.
Chimera.
Dude, they were actually so good this event. Holy moly.
Insane.
Do you know the most insane part? They disbanded before the event even started.
I know. We heard about it. The entire story of this squad was like, holy shit, these guys are disbanded and they're beating, tier 1 teams. And then basically every interview was begging them to not disband.
So we were scrimming against like some team, and I randomly see like Panto is like on the team we're scrimming against during Dream League. Like he's scrimming with a different team while he's like cooking everyone on Chimera. That's unbelievably funny.
I mean, maybe that's the strat. Maybe you guys need to consider that. Scrim with like all 5 of you scrim with different teams, and then you come together. You've got better ideas about Dota.
But what if like the team you're scrimming with is like worse than the team that you play in officials in? That's like the weird part. Imagine like you play with your team in officials that's already disbanded, you togo Liquid, and then you scrim them and you get absolutely clapped. That can't be good.
Dude, that can't be good.
Everyone on the team going off to like intern at other teams is such like a funny bit.
It's like you go to Spirit, hello.
Secret, no.
I mean, I'm just saying, Aydin would get to see Parker on like, Vision or something.
Dude, I would pick Parker's team. I would intern at Parker's team. That would be a solid like 2 weeks.
Be the temp.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else to say on the tier list? Anything else you want to talk about in general? Good. Podcast over.